Hello, everyone. Today's a very thrilling day. We talked to my work wife, Barbara Marchant. I've talked about Barbara quite a bit, and today we're going to spend about an hour with her talking about a lot of things, but mostly the second year. We always reference the second year, but here comes an expert to tell us about it. I was probably in my mid 30s and just working freelance, taking any job I could get in New York. And Barbara called me and said, "You want to teach first year Meisner in the BFA program at Rutgers?" So she is responsible for my entire career and my understanding of Meisner and how to communicate it. So she's a very important person in my life. And when we come back from our intro, we will speak with Barbara Marchant.
It should not be acting training, it should be actor training.
Am I a good actor?
Like me doing
It's not a Meisner podcast. Okay. Barbara and Carson have already begun. Before I started recording, they were already hitting it off, having great conversations. And then Carson said, "You should start recording because we're already into it here."
You wanted to catch us in this spontaneous, off-the-cuff conversation.
Why would you want to be spontaneous?
I don't know. Isn't it an oxymoron, though, that we teach spontaneity?
Yeah, you teach. Go home and practice something spontaneous and bring it back.
Right.
Anyway, we're here with my work wife.
Yes, I miss my work husband. I do.
I know.
But we had many good years.
Many good years. We built a program together. Barbara was the head of the program, and I was her trusty assistant.
Oh, you were more than that, Kevin.
Well, we were. Yeah, in title, I was.
We really did start to on interviews. We would describe ourselves as a mom and pop operation.
Yeah.
I mean, they might not have after they finished with us go, "That's some mom and pop," but
I have a mom and pop. They don't like that.
They don't say the F word all the time.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, I've talked about Barbara so much over the time that we've been doing. We're coming up on the end of our second season here. We've got about 3 episodes left, or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I know, right? And in all that time, I probably bring Barbara up at least once every 2 episodes. So here she is. This is so thrilling for me.
Aw.
You know what's really thrilling is that I'm here with the person who taught me and the person that I'm teaching. So
there you go.
I'm kind of the middleman here today. I think it's important to, pass it on.
Well, when I'll be honest here, when Kevin asked me if I would come on so we could talk about second year scope and sequence, because so much of the focus has been on first year, I was hesitant because I said, second year is very technical. And I don't want this to be just inside baseball for people who've done the work, et cetera, et cetera. And then Donna's real. Donna said to me, and we all listened to Donna. Donna said, "No, you have to. You have to. We need a record. We need a correct record of the work, given the fact that there's a lot of out there of so-called Meisner work that is not really what was handed down from Sandy to Bill to the other teachers." Yeah. So thank you, Donna.
For those who don't know, Donna is my wife.
Yes.
I reference my wife a lot, but I don't know if you've ever called her Donna. But that's right, Barbara. You're right. Donna has said that, the reason that I said to Carson we should do a podcast is because Don had said to me, "You and Barbara have a direct lineage there, and you probably want to put it down." First, she wanted me to write a book, and I'm like, "Bill already wrote the book. Sandy wrote the book, and then Bill. So I'm not going to say anything in a book that hasn't been said better." But then she said, "Well, but you do have a gift for speaking it, and here's some proof. Barbara and I met last week just to go over some bullet points because we practice what we preach, right? It was kind of like homework. Let's lay some bullet points down, and that way we know that when we get together, we can have a free freewheeling conversation, but we talked a little bit beforehand. We talked for over an hour. I was like, Barbara, we're doing the podcast.
That's true.
It's like we're supposed to be tailgating here. This is pregame, but
Right,
we're playing the game.
we did a pre-pod.
We did a pre-pod.
There you go.
Yeah, but it just proves how much of a body of work you have, Barbara. My God, you've been teaching. Have you been teaching for 40 years?
I have. And what's exciting for me, and thankfully for the students I teach, is that it's all new every time.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, I don't have to do as much homework as I should do, but it's each student's different, each exercise is different, and to walk into the room and here we are, and then we begin. Yeah, I'm still passionate and love it, and we'll continue until there comes a point where I'm like, I can say to myself, "You're not on your game." But I may not be on my game in life sometimes, but I don't know what I'm doing about the work because we love this work. That's obvious. That and for all of you, the fact that you in the one-on-one company, I mean, you just there's an integrity that we want to pass on.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about your journey to Meisner? I know it because you and I have spoken about it. Will you speak briefly about how you get from the Pacific Northwest to?
Okay. Yes, I ran away and joined the circus. I was in college, and this was late 60s. The San Francisco Mime Troupe, which was a radical, political, really exciting theater company, came to my college, and they won me over. So they invited me to come to San Francisco and do some workshops with them, and I did, much to my parents' dismay, because when I was there, I had a conversation with Rennie Davis, that's a name from the past, and he suggested I move to New York because I needed to really train. And I went home, Spokane, Washington, and had enough money to get an airplane ticket, broke my parents' heart, and moved to New York.
Wow.
And just turned 21. That's the line from Harry Woolman's Spoon River. I had just turned 21. And, knocked around, ended up working at Circle Rep, who had a relationship with Bill. And I had asked somebody, who can I study with? And they had recommended either Bill or Bobby Lewis. And I made appointments with both. And I canceled Bobby Lewis for some reason. And then Bill and I met and really hit it off. And then it began. And I had also been working quite a bit. I was in a Broadway show and I'd been doing soap operas, but I knew I was missing things. I knew it. I'm like, it was hit or miss. It was like you sometimes say, it was kind of woo-woo. Yeah. And so I started with Bill to do the 2 years. And what's fascinating is those people that you do work with when you do this work, when at Bill's memorial, 3 of my classmates were there, David Morse, Patty Wettig, I forgot who else. We saw each other, and all of a sudden, do you remember that activity you did? Do you remember this? And what about this? And oh yeah, that scene. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. We were back. And I have to tell you, it was over 40 years ago. Yeah. And we were back in the room. And when I went back to class, because a lot of the class had come to the memorial, I talked to them about it's a legacy. It continues and you're part of something. Anyway, so yes, I studied with Bill, and then I was working. I had a family. I needed a job, not an acting job because I had kids, and Bill suggested I teach. And turned out to be, I will be eternally grateful to Bill Esper for so many reasons, but he gave me a path. And he was my teacher, my mentor, my colleague, my friend. And here we are, years later. Here we are years later. Yeah.
Well, listen, I have the same story about you. You know, you plucked me and said, "Hey, you want to teach first year?" And I said,
Oh,
"Barbara, I don't know how to teach at the fucking Meisner." And you were like, "I got you know." I sat in your room and at the studio and watched you teach. So you mentored me in how to teach it, and I honestly didn't know if I had an aptitude for it. But you invited me. It's one of those things where you're like, start doing it and then learn how to do it while you're doing
it's
it.
true. You don't know. I didn't know either.
I
I
know.
said to Bill, "Wah, what if I mess somebody up?" He goes, "It's not neurosurgery. They won't die." Um, but what I didn't understand was how creative it was.
Oh yeah.
I didn't understand. But Kevin was a MFA director at the school, but you were always curious about
Yeah.
what was going on, and you would come sit in on the acting one class, right?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
I would ask you if you'd want to teach, and then little by little, then you came to the studio and did first year Meisner.
Yeah. I was a third year MFA directing candidate at Rutgers. So I hadn't even graduated yet. And you would let me come and sit in the first year.
Yeah.
And I would catch it here and there. I kind of got it. But then you'd give notes sometimes and I'd be like, I don't know how she saw that or where she, but then I got to the point where I could see it, you know?
Oh yeah, 100,000% as
Yeah.
testimony to all your students, and the fact that you got cast in a movie as an acting teacher.
I don't know if did I ever bring that up, Carson, on the
No, not
podcast?
on the podcast. No.
Oh yeah.
One
So
one of
Kevin,
one of my former students made a film, and he needed an acting teacher in the movie, so he cast me as me, basically. I said to him, "You know, like I'm not an actor." He goes, "You just teach your class, and I'll point the camera at it." So yeah,
but he knew you were a teacher and a wonderful and a brilliant teacher, and I think one of the most generous artists, director, teachers around, as you will
Oh,
testify.
boy.
Hence why you're so busy after retirement.
I know. Yeah, it's funny. But you too, right? People call you up and be like, "Hey, help me with this," and
Oh yeah, but I'm also teaching full time at the studio.
I know.
And we can talk about that a little bit later, the difference about teaching at a studio and
Well,
teaching in a BFA or a conservatory program.
well, let's do it right now. I think we could do that right now. I mostly wanted you to, give us an overview of second year because you're right. You said it before that Carson and I have been focused on the first year here.
Well,
And we
let's talk
really,
about second year because I can talk about that later.
yeah, but
I don't know how much time we have.
before we talk about second year, let's you taught at university, conservatory in a university and private studio in New
Right,
York.
right.
And the top, both like a top conservatory and the Gillespie studio, top private studio. Compare and contrast. I don't think there's I don't want to say pro con because it sounds like one's good and one's bad, but can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think the main difference is when we talk about diversity at the studio, there's diversity of age.
Oh yeah.
And you don't have that. I mean, when we would audition people, we would look for somebody who was like Shahar, right? Who had
Right.
served and was maybe 21 as opposed to 18 or 19, or somebody like Randolph who was 22, something like that. But at the studio, I can have in a class, I can have somebody as young as 19 and as old as 50 something. And along with all of the other diversity, which is essential.
Yeah.
F you know who, but we believe in that. But because there's it's not a little petri dish of everybody's coming from more or less the same place. And also people are out in the world. And so
Yes.
some of the little stuff that can can take on larger proportions in a conservatory program don't in a
Right.
studio because there's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, just personally, and I know you'll agree with this, no meetings. We're not sitting on freaking committees all the time.
Wow.
It's teaching, it's working, it's with the students. And so
Yes.
it's our genuine love. It's not, I mean, also we ran a program, so we had to deal with the dean and the this and the that.
Yeah.
and to make those kind of decisions and choices. And we get to teach now.
I know.
Now. So, I mean, I treasure my time at Rutgers with you. And we had how many years that were really great? 20 years at least.
23.
23, yeah. And the Globe and all of that were wonderful. And times we change, we grow.
Yeah.
And so
I think
I think the difference is life.
Yeah.
Life. And
I think
also people, no one's ticking a box. And not that most people are in conservatories because they have to fight their parents to go to a conservatory. Everyone wants them to get a degree, to get a job, to do this, to do that. But people are there because they're hungry for it. Then again, like in any program, there are people that if they don't do the work, they're asked to leave. That's just the way it is. But from my point of view, I just I get to just focus on teaching, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a tricky thing. We're joking about meetings and all this, but it's administration and these days, I don't want to get too political here, but I think in the universities and colleges now, it's very, very difficult because you have to serve the institution, and they don't want to get sued.
Yeah, it becomes about litigation.
Well, how the
Then
hell
we're
can-
talking about the freedom in the room. If we want to go back to the early days, right?
Of course.
Tom Pelfrey and Rebecca Mose, those days,
Yeah.
it was that, and then no, it became more circumscribed because of the university.
Yeah. I mean, Pelfrey told me he was talking to somebody once about the climate today with young people, and the guy said to Pelfrey, "Oh, Tom, we were animals, though. We were savages.
Right.
Like, you can't compare." But we didn't have any constraints other than the technique.
Right.
Like, they didn't have license, but they did have freedom.
That's right. That's a really important point.
Yeah.
Freedom as opposed to license. And of course you can't use freedom as an excuse to offend and to do this and to do that. But
Well, yeah.
we're there to explore. And
True.
you can't have trigger warnings on every exercise.
I don't know. I have no idea how anybody could work when before you start, somebody lays all these parameters out, and then we say, "Now go, but be out of your head. Don't be in your head." You're like, I'm in my head about if I'm hurting, if I'm triggering somebody or stepping on toes. You got to be able to release into experience and then clean up later if there's any cleanup to do.
That's right. I think it will shift again because artists need to do their work.
Yeah.
And I am seeing people coming to the studio who would have gone to a conservatory. It's
Oh.
happening a bit. And this is not a plug for the studio.
No.
Clear. But it's about the work. And so maybe to segue from first year to second year, so much fun, huh? So much freedom. And when we were at Rutgers, Kevin taught first year, I taught second year. And Kevin would prepare them and say, "Well, you can do this with me, but you can't do that with Barbara."
Right.
And so when people would come into second year, they wanted it to be like first year. And some of the second year work is technical. And you cannot solve everything with an emotional life. So there was a little bit of resistance. I mean, what I would do is I'd say, okay, I'm just going to bite the bullet. We're going to start immediately with physical impediments. Because you can prepare on your grandma till the sun comes down and you will not be able to create a migraine. That's not going to happen. Right.
Right.
And so to understand that all of first year, nothing could be self-generated, nothing, nor should it be.
Right.
Because of the way we were working. But if you are working with a script and the person has a migraine headache, you have to create that. And that is self-generated. And the issue becomes, oh, I'm indicating. No, you're still doing. Because the way we would work is you have to create the symptoms specifically, and then you have to work to alleviate them. And in the doing, the good old central nervous system kicks in and believes. And as you're dealing with the nausea, oh my God, it starts to come up, and then emotion does come, but you have to do that physical work. So I like to begin with that as the introduction to second year, because it's clear you cannot do it unless you do the physical acting of it. And then you look at all the work out there and you say, well, think of all the Academy Award winners who have physical impediments.
Oh yeah,
I
year
mean,
after
think
year
of
after
Daniel
year.
Day-Lewis. Brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant. Well, he did a lot of physical work.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah. But I would also, and this is a little inside baseball, so I hope I'm not boring people. I would take away the circumstance right away, because if you had a circumstance, my ex-boyfriend is this and this and this, you're going to go to that as opposed to the headache.
The
And
technical.
once the work was done, then we would add circumstance, shared circumstance, relationships, adjusted points of view, and fascinating behavior would come, because with impediments would come adjusted points of view.
Right.
Physical impediments could lead to character. And the whole idea with impediments is, if you have to sustain the impediment. If you break the impediment, it's the same as breaking character.
Right.
Right. So after all of the work with physical impediments, we would then go to our first round scene. And again, in first year, you memorize the text, you don't read the play, which would always give me agita, because I was afraid students would say, Barbara Marchant says you'd never have to read the play. And I'm like, no, just in first year, because it's an exercise.
Right.
And you have to,
It's not scene study.
it's not scene study. It's not scene study. It's an exercise with text and circumstance.
Yeah. Let me let me bring you
please.
back to the impediment, because
Oh, sure.
it's really fascinating. I love the idea. Right, you're saying that after first year, the actors, there is a course form and technique in the first year, but it really is pinch ouch, cause effect, and you're saying right away, second year, you go, no, you have to go home and actually work out the symptoms of, say, a migraine headache.
That's right. And I even go so far as to say you have to storyboard it.
Can you explain that?
Well, that if I'm coming in with, let's say I have a, let's say, let's stay with the migraine. I'm coming in with a migraine, but if I come in and I'm holding my back, what's wrong with her back? That you have to lay it out. And at first it's like, oh, this feels by the numbers. It's not by the numbers, but you do have to do that. But if you really do it, and then what happens, as in when we talk about character, and when you're really doing it and you've laid it all out, it starts to do itself.
Mm-hmm.
It just does. It starts to do itself, but not if you haven't worked it out specifically. And so at first you're like, oh, I'm pretending, I'm indicating. And until you really do it, then it becomes authentic.
Right.
You
So,
surprise yourself.
but then the actors have to give themselves a break, that it might feel like they're acting at a thing rather than organically living through it.
Which is why it was harder when I got your students. because when I'm teaching my own, I have people for 2 years. I already preparing them for it. I'm saying, this is how you're going to feel.
Right.
And know that you're going to go in your head for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you'll be out of your head and it'll be so much richer. But yeah, I would prepare them ahead of the game, because that is what's going to happen for just a tiny bit of time.
Yeah. Yes. And you can't be so ideological about it. But I'm not supposed to play anything. Well, how are you going to have a headache?
Well, what are you going to do with a telephone call? There's nobody on the other side.
Right.
I mean, unless you're on drugs, there's nobody there. Right? So you have to craft what that person is saying to you. And are you going to hear that person? No.
No.
But you aren't. I mean, again, it's the duality of acting, which is so magnificent and so impossible to describe to what I call civilians.
Right.
The wonderful people, but they're not actors.
Yeah.
And there's a duality that you live with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, people who are fascinated by acting and love theater, but they don't know what
Well, if you
we
try to explain it, you kill it, one,
do. That's true.
right? And I don't think it's explainable to people who aren't in who aren't artists. Who aren't,
Yeah,
yeah.
because in a funny way, you're not pretending, even though you are self-generating, but you're not pretending.
You're not pretending.
Yep.
And you go back to Meisner's brilliant and Bill's adaptation of the definition. If you are doing truthfully,
Yes.
you will get out of your head.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah.
If you really do it, it will happen. I mean, that's the magic. That's
Yeah.
the magic. Yeah.
So then when you say you take circumstance away, when they come in with their impediment, the activity or the action, such as it is the effort they're making to alleviate the
Right. And depending on, so if you have two people and we go through different kinds of impediments. Like, so the first one I'll do is pain. So somebody has major pain, somebody has minor pain. And the person with minor pain can have an independent activity.
Oh, okay.
Right. And they have a simple relationship.
Right.
Roommates. Okay. I mean, nothing, no complex relationship.
Right.
So that the person, but you still have contact. And if
Yeah.
you have a migraine and someone over there is trying to sing, have a point of view, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's simple, but it allows them to focus on their impediment and the contact, which is tricky. Yeah.
Right.
And then once that's under the belt, then we can add wonderful circumstances,
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
To stay with that for a while before we move on to scenes. And then there's a lot of material that uses physical impediment. And a physical impediment doesn't carry all of it. I mean, we don't work with mental conditions. We don't work with schizophrenia, and I want to try to keep it concrete and physical. Yeah.
Right. And would you put dialects in there?
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dialects. Yeah. Because a dialect is an adjustment to your behavior, and you have to practice it like crazy to make it your own. And that's why, and we are in such awe, I think I am, especially of the Australians.
Oh my gosh.
But do you know that in Australian conservatories, they have a whole year on American accents?
Whoa.
That's why he's an Australian?
Yeah.
Because, and I have to say, as Americans, we're very lazy about dialects.
Very lazy about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you have to practice, so you're free.
Yeah. How can you be free if you're wondering about the sounds that you make, you know?
I mean, and it's different. I mean, at Rutgers, we had the dialect teachers, the speech teachers, they were clinicians. I wanted to buy them all like doctor coats and stethoscope, because the roof of the mouth and the tongue.
Yeah. Placement of the tongue and all that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And because you can't just rely on your ear, but not everybody knows phonetics.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. But yes, dialects completely goes in that.
So this is the last thing. Again, this is for people, young people listening who, I want to make sure they know what we're talking about. By impediment, we mean anything that might impede your straight. Right. I can take this in straight. No, I can't, because this other thing is getting in the way of it. I have a toothache or a.
And it could, we can talk. One of the favorites is when we get to move to alcohol and drugs.
Oh yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay. I'm on mushrooms. Yay.
Yeah.
But everything has to be filtered through it.
Yeah. How am I receiving you if I'm on mushrooms?
Bill used to give the example of Glass Menagerie. If, the actress playing Laura is walking across the floor and forgets to limp. Right. You're like, what?
Well,
you're out.
Right.
You're out. You're out of the play. You're out of the play. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
then after impediments, you give a scene, and that scene has at least one, maybe two impediments. One of the students.
Most likely, dialect or impediment or something like that. But what the first scene is really about is about doing the script analysis work.
Right.
That we don't do in first year.
Okay.
It's about beats, actions, objectives, as ifs, etc. Right. and the you and I conversation of the what and the how and the crafting. But
That's right.
you don't, I mean, when you're in first year, you're not breaking down beats.
No, you better not. If anybody ever mentioned a beat, I have a shift here, I'd kill them.
Right. So what I try to do is give out material where, again, you can't solve it all of first year. I love first year. I mean, I love first year, but not all material goes that way.
No.
So I was telling Kevin in our pre-pod conversation, the play Taste of Honey, at one point, the young woman is 8 months pregnant. It's hot. She's unhappy and she's complaining. This is hot. This place stinks, la la. And all of a sudden, the line is, "It kicked me, Jeff. It kicked me." Well, the baby kicks and it's a whole new beat, a whole new moment. Well, she has to do the kick, what it means, etc. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you can't just ride through it.
Right.
And so you can't ride. You
Mm.
can't ride the text with and because if it's text that you can make really interesting because you have a wonderful deep emotional life, but some of this material will not let you do it.
No.
And
And
that's why you need to have this technique.
yeah, and you know, I mean, to speak the obvious, the second year is where you learn how to act.
I love that in your podcast when you said I doesn't say that myself, but when you said it, I was like, first year is about what? Training the actor.
Yeah.
And second year is acting. And
Yeah.
what is so rewarding for me, by the end of second year, people are high. They're like, I love this.
Yeah.
I not only am I free, it's detailed and this and
Yeah.
surprising, and I have ideas and et cetera.
Yeah, and you can't believe that you feel like an actor, like an advanced and mature
That's right.
actor because you're putting first year together with second year. You can't solve a play. You can't act in a play with only the first year of crafting, of understanding. You the set actions and objectives and beats and all, that's all second year.
Right. I mean, when I was a young actor, I had studied with Grotowski, and Bill said to me, "Yeah, so much. There's a lot of good work from Grotowski, but you cannot solve a play with the Grotowski work. You can't. It can add, but you can't solve it. It's not gonna
It's
take care of it."
it's great for the actor to have multiple ways of seeing their way in,
Right.
but hand them a piece of text.
Right. Right.
There's real detail and a technical aspect that goes into sitting with that text and asking yourself questions and taking it apart, you know?
And so the first scene, I tend to try to keep it more realism, kitchen sink, more or less, so that it's not such a we don't go from the first scene is not theater of the absurd.
Right.
It's not Harold Pinter. Your first scene is not Harold Pinter, right?
Right.
Because we got to go as I learned so much from you, sequence,
Yeah.
scope and sequence. And
Built-in sequence.
it's one of my critiques about some training programs is, I don't know, you start with the Greeks, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're really going from it's soup to nuts, right? So yeah, and then action, of course. How do you feel about actions, Carson? They drive actors crazy,
Oh,
right?
that's
But
the hardest thing.
it's the hardest thing, but the more you do it, the more you're going to love them. And also you were going to please your directors, because your director's going to say, "What are you doing?" And
Yeah.
you go, "Well, I feel,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
but what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, especially in film work, when you're out of sequence and you stop and you start, if you know that you're warning somebody there, the emotional life might have left you
Right.
during all of this. But if you're warning somebody and you really warn somebody, the life will come.
Exactly.
So just practicing and identifying actions away from the text, so you just get better at it. And accept it. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
to be able to translate it, to say it's as if, it's almost, I think I'm doing this, but you don't have to micromanage it. But when you figure out, oh, I'm doing this, and what I've learned with actions is too many actors create their actions from the neck up. It's got to be in your body.
Yeah.
Got to be in your
Yeah.
body. Yeah.
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 Yeah. You can
Yeah.
tell yourself an action, but if it's not driven by the experience and a need to do it, then you won't actually do it.
That's right.
You know, it's funny, Barbara, that you mentioned a director will love you, because quite often I will say, "What are you doing there?" And they'll say it, and I'll be like, "Well, then do it." Like they'll tell me I'm warning him, and then I'm like, "Then
do
do that." Like you told me you're warning him, but you're not doing it. The other thing
There's a line in View from the Bridge where Rodolfo makes this announcement. I have nearly $300. And actors struggle with making it really announcing it. So I'll say, okay, go outside, come in and announce to the class that tuition is free this month. They have no problem announcing that. and it's the same emotional life, which is
Sure. Yes. So, but I love that you said that you can practice actions outside of a text. Like you can
Oh, you should.
give
I
yourself.
actually will do that in class. We have 10, 15 minutes left. I'll say, all right, who's got an action? Get up, pick somebody, do it. And then we have to play name that action.
It's amazing.
And then you can see how it starts to evolve, and one action leads to another action.
That's right. That's right.
But you can. And I now, having been doing this for a long time, not only do I like to follow people when they have physical impediment, trying to figure out what it is, but I will listen to conversations very, politely, and say, oh man, she is schooling him.
Yeah.
He is defending himself.
Yeah.
Because there's no pressure.
No.
And it starts to become more interesting language. Yeah.
But you're saying like out on the street or something, if somebody is limping, you'll walk behind them and go, "What's the origin of that limp?"
I will.
I mean,
Be careful. The studio's right around Penn Station, and we have a lot of there's a methadone clinic, but yeah, I mean, I will watch and sit and try to say, what is this? What is this? What is this? But I mean, obviously, I try to be discreet about it.
Yes, be discreet. Of course, you don't want to take advantage of somebody.
Oh God, it was heartbreaking. I watched somebody nodding out at the subway on the turnstile.
Ugh.
And I kept my distance.
Yeah.
But I stayed the whole time because I wanted to know how long it would take before he would come back up. But that was me as an actor, as a teacher, doing my work, not me being a creep.
A voyeur or a creep.
A voyeur. It was but no, because that comes up.
No, but the flip side of it also, Barbara, is how many people just walk past that person like, get out of the way. There's a humanity in you staying with that guy in a way.
Well, because it's
our job.
It is our job to portray this accurately and to bring everything. If we're going to blood potato, if you're going to be playing somebody, then you've got to do it absolutely right. Especially when you see people playing addicts and you're like, no, that's not it.
Yeah. Or
somebody that's in a certain kind of physical pain or something, childbirth. I'm like, come on, that's not what it looks like.
Yeah.
But it's your job. So that somebody who's gone through it goes, that's right.
Yeah. Barbara's referencing Blood Potato. It's a play that a dramaturg worked on with the writer, and then we did a production of it. And it was about meth, people who are in a downtrodden environment, and they have no recourse other than to cook meth and sell it. And so the actors in that play really have to understand the nuance of tweaking when you don't have, and of what it looks like when you are high on meth,
Yeah.
But not to show, the actor's not up there to be showy about it. What we cared about is what those people were living through.
That's right. You needed to live truthfully as they do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
character comes in.
Character would come in.
So in first year, no character. Okay. I still think you say I as character. by
Yeah.
the way, right?
Yeah.
And this is something I said to Kevin in our conversation, that I have a dear friend, a brilliant director, teacher in London named Mike Alfreds, who's now 91. And
God bless him.
he wrote a book and a few books, and he talks about character in a fascinating way. The actor, he believes in the supremacy of the actor, number one. But he said an actor is both the creator and the creation. And that's, again, the duality, that you are the creator, but ultimately you become the creation. And that, yes, you are the container, but you, the person, the actor, must disappear.
Mm.
Right? You don't want to see the actor. You want to see the character. And that's art. That's art.
Yes.
That's artistic. And we all know those actors are like transformative.
Yeah.
Transformative. I didn't recognize him or her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you have the converse. I remember seeing Band of Brothers, and Ted Danson was one of the soldiers, and I'm like, he was Ted Danson from Cheers.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it was World War II
Yeah.
because he was Ted
Yeah.
from Cheers.
Yeah.
But the work in building that, and then ultimately leaving it alone. And I was talking to Deborah about that. And when an actor breaks character, it's usually because the actor has done something that the character wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
Wow,
Or
that's
that
great.
the actor gets in there. And Deborah said, yeah, it becomes a threesome. There's the two characters and the actor, which I thought was fantastic.
That's brilliant. The
because
the
you have to
actor made an appearance.
The actor made an appearance. The actor must be subsumed. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
acting is so generous. That's why actors who really do the work are the most generous of artists. They're so generous.
Well, this is a little side note, but that addendum to the definition, right, raised to the optics of the theater. I remembered that Sandy wrote that in his book, and he got it from George Bernard Shaw.
Right.
George Bernard Shaw was
Wow.
talking about Duza and saying the art of acting is it's betrayal of the self, meaning we normal people hold on to their privacy. They don't give it away.
That's right.
So when you give it away, something in you should be going, you're betraying us by lending it to the character and then giving it to the audience. It's a very generous act.
It is, and it's interesting because in first year it's full exposure of yourself.
Oh yeah.
Right? It is the art of self-exposure.
Yes.
Second year, and when you move into character work, you're there.
Yes.
You're part of the creation, but ultimately you give yourself away.
Give it away. Yeah. Because that's what Shaw said. It's betrayal of the self magnified to the theater, the dimensions of the theater. So like not only are you giving yourself away, but you're giving it away to the room and whoever else is in there with you, you know.
And that's when you're in the theater and you're shattered.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about Oedipus, right? I mean, at the end, right?
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
God.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a play that's 2,500 years old, and you're still, what's going to happen.
Well, you know
Still
what's going to happen, but you don't know what's going to happen. You don't
Right.
know how it's going to happen.
Right.
I mean, he's going to gouge out his eyes, but
Right.
I'm watching and I know he's going to gouge out his eyes, and then when he went for, spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Or when he did what he did, I was
Yeah.
I was flabbergasted and surprised, even
Yeah.
though I knew the
Yes.
story. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good work. That's good work. All right.
Yeah.
So character. So do you use Spoon Rivers for
Oh yeah.
character? Is
So
that-
after the first scene, then we moved to Spoon Rivers, which I adore. We're working with heightened text, and these characters written, but you start with yourself, and the whole process is, I let them choose 5, and then we go through and see which one really matters or which they
We
really
should say
understand.
again. We should be clear and say Spoon River Anthology
by Edgar Lee Masters.
Edgar Lee Masters. He creates a whole town who are now all dead, right? They're all in the
Oh, they're all dead.
they're all in the ground, but they speak for themselves.
I
So
work on the premise that they've been given permission to come back once alive.
Oh, okay.
and what do you want to
and
communicate?
say what they need to say, so they have
Excellent.
one chance.
So
So
it's-
nobody has to play, I'm dead. None
oh
of that.
no, oh God, no.
And there's a
But-
little bit of magical realism in some of the
Yeah, but
Yeah.
again,
but
you
the
don't.
premise is it's clear. And I say when you're reading these, they have to speak to you, but it's got to hold an action and an objective, etc. It can't be just beautiful poetry
Right.
and the language.
But would you say that the primary objective of the exercise is character, but it also has to be actions and objectives and beats,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Within the
But it's how to bring yourself, when we do the paraphrase, how to bring yourself to this very dense writing. And so there may be one line that when you go to paraphrase, which is not like SAT paraphrase, this to this, it's about what I call the talking as if, right? That you will bring yourself to it, and in one line it might be 10 lines in your paraphrase, so that ultimately when you go back to the line, I'm trying to come up with one right now, that it's much richer because of it. So it's very helpful. And I hear a lot from former students that when they're doing Shakespeare or they're doing any kind of Tom Stoppard, any kind of writing, that they use paraphrase all the time. And then we move to character, because all of these, and then, right. So back to your favorite.
yeah.
How do you want to play this person? This
How do you
person
understand?
has been shattered by this political figure that they believed in and gave all their hopes and dreams to, and found out that they were a fraud.
Yeah.
And they come back to warn the
Warm.
about
Yeah.
this person, but first they indict the
Yeah.
political person. So there are many ways you want to play it, and you can. And what I love is, like, let's try it 4 different ways.
Yeah. That's great.
And so somebody, I'm an alcoholic, I'm fucking drunk, and he's doing it again,
Yeah. Yeah.
or this or that. And so
Yeah.
also then can create a world with them, because you can cast your classmates, right? You are the people that sentenced me to prison because I had sex with a younger man.
Yeah.
Spoon River, yeah. And you can use, so you get to play around with creating worlds too.
Right.
But I think the main purpose is character for sure, but also how to open up text.
And so you will have the students paraphrase the entire thing. And like you just said, one line could take 10 lines
right.
in a paraphrase. Like I'm saying all of this, and that's all packed into the one line that's actually on
Right.
the
And ultimately they can go back to it, but they go back to it with a little bit of paraphrase and text until it's all text. Yeah.
And the
Because
paraphrase-
otherwise it's just like, this line is so deep. I need to fill it. I need to fill it. And you may need to go to all kinds of places. I have a student who's from El Salvador, and he's working on a character, or a Spoon River person who's became what the town homeless guy. But it starts with, I was educated and came from Welsh descent. And yet, and this happened, and no longer will you see me as this and this. Well, he came in, and he's from El Salvador, and he came in, I am an ancestor of the Mayans, the Incas, this, and he brought all of his Latin and being an immigrant.
Yep.
And and actually was able to weave in the kids on the subway who are selling the candy bars. And he's going to enrich this material, but the material enriched him. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can't fake it. You can't fake that. You either find that thing that has meaning,
That's
or
right. And
It's-
here's what's different. And I say to them, you won't do this in the professional world out loud with other people. It's very private. But here we're in class, we do it with each other so that
Yeah.
you can practice it. But ultimately, no one's going to ask you to do that out loud.
Right.
But we do it that way. So it's such a good learning tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's another little sidebar. How important trust is in that room. We're all in this together.
Everything.
We're
Everything.
all doing the same work.
That's
You're
right.
going to get up and reveal something personal, and I'm going to get up and reveal something personal, and it doesn't leave this room. So that, for
And
instance,
it doesn't leave this room, and you've done it. And so that when you have to work on something very personal and deep out in the professional world, you can refer back to, I did that in class.
yeah, I already did that in class.
I mean, what I have happen sometimes is people come back from like 15 years ago and say, can I just go into the room? They'll come into the room, the studio, and they'll just stand there.
Wow.
And just because there's a lot of life in those walls. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, like Regina Hall, people have said, oh, I did it in class. I can do
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we'll say you will leave here with a bag of meanings and you already impediments. You did them already. And
You did.
So you go, well, which one is going to, I'm not saying that you repeat it. I'm saying you have the habit also of finding the thing.
Right.
Finding your
yeah,
way in.
you know how to work. So
Yes.
and so you're working with different materials. So I try to make the second round scenes different kinds of material. Let's do some Ionesco, let's bring in some Hitler, let's do some magical, et cetera, et cetera. So, or sitcom, like Lovers and Other Strangers, or something.
Right.
So so you're working with different kinds of material, and you might not be doing that scene, but somebody else is, so that when you're handed that material, you can recognize it.
You go,
I know how to solve this.
Yeah.
This is going to hold physical comedy.
Right.
I need ideas.
Yeah.
I need a lot of ideas for this,
Yeah. So then later in the second year, you will give them material that doesn't solve itself. They have to have ideas. They have to understand the tone or the genre, know the world of the play you're in.
Absolutely. Right.
'Cause
And
you're
also, and if you aren't doing that when somebody else is, so you have that information.
right.
Yeah. Because look, it's not everything is slice of life.
Yeah.
Not. I mean, look, Oedipus, come on.
Yeah. You can't solve
it with slice of life.
You can't solve Moliere and go, oh, I'm going to find the realism of it. It's like you have to find the truth of it. But
That's right. And that's why I love our definition so much, because it can take you from Moliere to Stranger Things to
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the truth is the truth is the truth. But how you're in that world, Carson, someday you and I do have to do an episode on like the world of the play.
Right.
And what that means in terms of finding tone and atmosphere and quality of behavior and all that kind of stuff.
And when you have all of these tools, then you can move to that, right?
Yeah.
You can say, oh, what's my app? I mean, or, sometimes it comes in at different times, but you have a technique that will take you where you need to go. So you know how to break it down.
Right.
And now so many people just have to do self-tapes all the time. Right?
So now that's all it is.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So you don't have that wonderful moments of getting an adjustment.
Yeah.
Oh, give me an adjustment, please.
Yeah. Well, call back. I mean, right, Carson? You're on that.
Callbacks, yeah.
Yeah.
But in the moment when something's I
Oh.
mean, that's just we're hearkening back to the good old days. What can I say? Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about the second year, but you don't lose your freedom. You gain ideas and freedom and surprises, and you expand.
You expand.
It's not that you're not you. You're always you, but aren't you sometimes tired of you? I mean, come on. I mean, you're like, all right, here you are, and here's the imaginary world, right here, and then here's the imaginary world.
Yes.
Here. And Harold Clurman would say that. Harold Clurman would say, too many actors are looking here when they should be looking here.
Yeah. They're looking
And
inward.
that depends on the material.
They're looking into who they should be looking outward. And there's so much more than you think. Your capacity to expand is so much more than you've been trained to out in the real world, you know. I told you, Barbara, that when I saw Al Pacino in that interview, and they said, when I'm watching you in The Godfather, am I seeing you or am I seeing Michael Corleone? And Pacino went, yes,
Yes,
both. It's
both.
oddly both.
both. That's it. Both. Yeah.
And the artist has to be willing to embrace that. You can't be logical about it. Like, what are you trying to make sense out of that? You know, you kind of can't.
What? Love isn't sensible.
Oh my God.
Art isn't sensible.
No.
It's true.
Yeah.
Suzanne would say acting is an affair of the heart.
It's
At
beautiful.
bottom of all this is you got to love it. Right.
Yep.
And you
Acting is an affair of the
oh,
heart.
I want to explore this. I want to explore that, as opposed to, oh no, I mean, it takes time. You have to build up your bravery.
Yeah.
But ultimately you say, oh yeah, I want to tell that story.
Yeah. Yeah. Beyond yourself. Because that's another thing,
Beyond
Barbara, you
yourself.
and I
I
talk
guess
about.
it all lies within us, but we
Yeah.
have to experience it all. I mean, that's why I have issues with Strasbourg. It's like, come on, you just
Yeah.
can't rely on recall for every damn thing,
Yeah.
right? You have to have
But
an imagination.
yeah, but today we're also up against, you know, this is a whole other conversation of young actors who only want to play what they are. And I understand they want to represent, you know, but then they go, I don't want to play that because I am not that. Or they'll say, give me the thing I am so I can represent through that thing. Of
Right.
course, wonderful, but are you going to stop there?
Right.
Right.
You know?
Well, I think I said this in a previous episode, but I had a teacher at NYU who always said, well, that's why they don't write plays about you.
What does that mean, though? What does that mean, Carson?
Well, I think that it's not, if you just want to explore yourself, I mean,
Yeah.
that's fine and dandy, but
Not
you know,
enough in it, right?
yeah. You're not going to play. I'm not wanting to go do a play about Carson Davis, you know?
Right.
I mean,
No, I want to bring Carson Davis here. I want to use every drop of Carson Davis, but there's more. That's the whole thing about, is it natural? Right. I mean, I have a scarf that one of my students embroidered for me that said, life ain't art. It ain't.
No.
Sometimes, like,
Mhm.
that could be, right? But yeah.
No, but it's a what we're doing is taking things that people recognize in life and we're putting them in a context.
That's right.
And, you know, Amy Saltz, Barbara, used to say to me, a play is not about what life is like. It's about what we aspire to be, you know, more than just what we are.
right.
It's not like, oh, I recognize myself up there. The play is about what we are. It better take one more step and be about what we aspire to be, so that it's the exploration of humanity goes beyond our limited scope, you know.
Right. And if actors are, and acting is the most human of the arts, which I think it is, right? You have to use all of you.
All of it.
All of you. And that takes immense bravery to use every drop of yourself. But you become the shaman, you know, and it's for a purpose.
Yeah.
Even, you know, you're doing a silly little something, but that's okay. But ultimately you have to keep reconnecting to the goal, I think, of humanity.
Yeah.
And there's so much to explore.
Yeah. And sometimes, well, we were just talking before we started recording about Sean Penn, who was at a point where he kind of wasn't acting all that much and wasn't that excited about it. And then he got this script that he's in now, what's it called?
One battle after another.
One battle after another. And then suddenly he got excited about that. It's like, sometimes you're dormant and sometimes you're like, yeah. But then once you do it, you're in.
But
You're
you
all
know,
in.
when he read that, and he had ideas, right? Of course.
We were talking about impediments before. What about that limp that he had?
Oh, what about the stick up his butt, huh?
No, of course. And the haircut and
I mean, yeah. But I mean, this actor had a blast.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
man.
Oh,
That's
my
also something, like when you fall in love with the ideas
Yeah.
God.
of developing something, and then
Yeah.
it takes over, and like, oh, I didn't make that happen. That
No,
happened.
and it's an expansive performance, but the film holds it.
Film does, because the film holds a few genres, I think.
It holds a few genres. It holds Leonardo DiCaprio is expanding. If he's really expanding into that particular,
Right.
old hippie slash activist, like whatever you want to call it, but
Right.
who's baked all the time. He's always high and all.
Right.
It's a very, but his heart is bursting with love, and it's big, but
Yeah.
it's not. When we say big, we think that means outside of the realm of the capacity to experience. None of those people are playing at.
It's truth, though. I mean, it's the truthful world. Paul Thomas Anderson is a genius, right?
Oh my God.
Created a world that could
Yeah.
hold those kind of
All-
choices.
All of it.
You
Yep.
couldn't do. Sean Penn couldn't have been in Sentimental Views, right? That wouldn't have worked because it wasn't that world. But
Yeah.
the world of One Battle After Another could hold
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the opposite way of looking at it is, if you didn't bring that stuff to it, then you don't know what world you don't. If you're a smaller actor, who pedestrian, just everything's realism, and then you got into that script to do it, and tried to bring your naturalistic understanding of it, that wouldn't work.
Wouldn't work. It
You
wouldn't
know,
work.
you would undo the material.
So that is, in a sense, the difference between first year and second year,
Absolutely.
right? Because in
Yep.
first year, it's you.
It's you.
Within circumstances that, get deeper and stronger, but it's you within
No,
that,
that's right.
not
And-
a heightened world.
No, because by the end of first year, the most you introduce is relationship, but you're still you, if that person were your brother or your
Right.
lover or your whatever. But you're not a character. You're influenced. Your behavior is influenced by the fact that you have a relationship with that person. But like I said before, if anybody brought in a limp or something, I'd be like, what's that from? Well, I thought I would have. It has nothing to do with the work we're doing.
I know.
Can we just wrap up the second year with nursery rhymes? Is that what?
Oh,
where you
yeah,
would go?
yeah, of course. I'm just enjoying our conversation. This is going to go
I
on
know.
for an hour and a half. Sorry,
yeah.
Carson.
No, I'm having a blast.
Oh,
I don't know if you know, Barbara, but I know Carson well enough that he looks down a lot. He's writing.
Yeah.
Like, you're saying a ton of shit that he's like, I heard that.
Yeah.
Nursery rhymes, I tell you, I like to bring nursery rhymes after Spoon Rivers, or maybe after the second scene. Nursery rhyme goes on the very simple premise of, I give you text, you give me acting.
Mhm.
And if you can work out and justify a complete piece of justified acting with a Mother Goose nursery rhyme, then you can do it all.
Yeah.
And it holds circumstance, relationship, actions, objectives, character, impediments. And also, you can't ride anything. If you've got, if you say Peter, Peter Pumpkin Eater, you can't say Peter, Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why are you saying it the second time?
Right.
You have to have a reason to say Peter, Peter, right?
Right.
So where you can possibly, kind of hide things with emotion or something like that, but you can't. You have to justify every single word.
Yeah. This will out you if you didn't do that detailed crafting. You'll get outed immediately.
Yeah, and nursery rhymes. I've seen nursery rhymes that are heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. I saw somebody do peas porridge hot to a parent that had dementia and was in an assisted living. I mean, I can't break it all down right now, but how do you break down text?
Yeah.
So in first year, when I see people really good with independent activities, I say, oh, they're going to be good with script work to see
Oh, yeah.
how to think like an actor and
Yes. Yes.
this to this to this. Same with nursery rhymes. That if you can really break down a nursery rhyme, you can break down Tom Stoppard. You can take text and nothing will be general
That's right.
ever.
Yeah, because you can take objectively ridiculous language. Bob Black Sheep, have you any? Well, like what? But you justify it and you have a whole world, circumstance, relationship, character. Why? And then the language comes from all of that.
That's
I
right.
say this because.
Right, because you're a drug dealer, and my code word is Baba, and
And
but
the
also
role is-
it's also ideas, and
Yeah.
so also there's a byproduct for this is because we make you do 3 versions of one, and people get the first one, the second one, the third one, like can't get it. Ideas.
I'm out of ideas. And you better not.
So I know you're a big idea man here.
Oh my God.
So you need ideas. I mean, with nursery rhymes, you may solve one, but what's your idea for this?
Yeah. Yes.
And so again, it forces your imagination, to use your to expand your imagination in another different way.
Yes. Yeah. And I am a big idea person as a director because I'll work with actors and they'll be perfectly competent.
Right.
And then I'm like, but where are the
But where are the ideas?
And where's the curveball idea? Where's the weird, I want a little weird. I think I told you, Barbara, I told you this once that I was auditioning for a part. It was the main part. I think you saw the play Hot Season this was before COVID, when there was an airborne disease.
Oh, yes, you did with Heather Rushy.
Yes, it was years before COVID. The play was that there's an airborne disease and these people got the hell out of Dodge, But the characters were all really interesting, but the main character needed to be somebody who was solid because he was like the captain of the ship. But on the page, he could be kind of boring. So we couldn't find the guy. And then an actor came in and he was 100% that guy. And then when he left, the writer and the producer were like, thank God, there he is. He's the guy. And I said to them, he's too much the guy. And they wanted to kill me. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, he's the 100% the guy, but I didn't see any curveball choices. I didn't see any weird, where's his humor, But here's another little lesson for actors. Luckily, I turned his picture over and on his resume, Victor Villerhauser, right, our friend, had trained him. He studied with Victor. So I called up Victor and I said, this guy just came in and I loved him, but he didn't seem to have any quirk or humor. And he said, that guy's the funniest guy in the world. And I was like, what? And then when we started rehearsing, he was.
Oh,
wow. But ideas, he didn't bring it. He just was like, I'm going to show you in the audition that I understand it. And I'm like, great, but I'm not casting the part. I'm casting the actor.
Right.
And I want to play with you for 4 weeks before he goes. And he was amazing, that dude.
That's great. I remember it.
Oh, yeah.
Shakespeare has a term, mingle mangle, which is if you're in a tragedy, there has to be some comedy. If you're in comedy, there has to be some tragedy.
Oh,
and I
that's
think
amazing.
that's more or less what you're talking about is you need a little something going on there.
How are you, Barbie, you and I could have that fight about how and why and all that.
Well, it's a funny little, we have a little.
It's not a real.
It's not a fight. We bicker, but it's not even about that. It's about what comes first.
Yeah. Yeah, because why is such an important. It's why, like.
But there's a play written called The How and the Why.
The how and the why, and it's a science. It's a science play, right?
Yes, it is.
It's anyway. We'll wrap up, by talking about Shakespeare and the Globe. I just love you so much, and I get proud of you.
Oh.
And well, you're so great. Honest to God, you're to me one of the great acting teachers of Meisner, right? And then later in your career, you turned it around and became a Shakespearean. You created the Globe program for a university, and you knew Shakespeare, but then you got to really dove into it and got to know Shakespeare the way.
What an opportunity. I have to thank Rutgers for that. I mean, I made it happen, and I practically sold my soul to make it happen, but I learned because I was around all these amazing people. But I was also intimidated by, Mark Rylance and Patrick and these people. So I would have dreams, and in my dreams, I would be speaking in iambic.
Wow.
But in life, I'm like,
Well, I know you could be intimidated by it, but you had the capacity for it.
Yeah.
Now I see you. If somebody's working on Shakespeare, you're like, oh, you know the piece already. Like I'm always like, I don't even know this piece. Maybe a little bit, but not only do you know the piece already, but you have already you got insight into it.
I did. And I mean, it was something we created for the students. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in order for me to direct that, be the director of that program and to hold my own with
Yeah.
the Glow people, I
Yeah.
needed to step up my game. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I did. But what an opportunity. You
Yeah.
know, you think about, oh, that happened.
Yeah.
That happened. And yeah, I'm still fascinated by, but if somebody wants a Shakespeare teacher, I don't say me. I
No,
recommend other people
yeah.
because I'm okay, but there are people who really get it. I mean,
No.
Mark Rylance, what, and Tim Carroll. I remember I'm dropping names here, but Mark Rylance, if you don't know him, is the most brilliant Shakespearean actor. And I was talking to one of his directors, and I said, "What is it?" Because he does keep the iambic, but you don't feel that.
Yeah.
And he says he plays with time. He keeps the balls in the air in a certain way. And so I just listen and listen and listen. I was listening to Judi Dench's audiobook, and she has word perfect memory for every Shakespeare play she's been in. And I think there is a difference between us Americans and the Brits, is that they're used to, they love language more than we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're learning, you know, so it was a learning curve, but I was very, very grateful.
That's the man who pays the rent, right? Shakespeare.
Yes, the man who pays the rent.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Yes, and I listened to it on the audiobook because I have some issues right now with my eyes, so I can't read so well. So lucky to listen to her. I mean, it's just like.
So, Carson, is that our book for the day? We're
100%. That book is so much fun. Shakespeare, the man who pays the rent.
Yeah, and it's
Judi
fun
Dench.
because I mean, how she breaks down the characters and the text, but also she's fun. She's fun, right? I mean, she's. But that's I mean, how about that? The man who paid the rent, William Shakespeare.
Yeah. So this is my last question for you. By immersing Shakespeare like that, do you see a middle ground? Like, do you see that you can't have one without the other? Or
Oh, I mean, one of my lines when talking about the program was that Laurence Olivier once said, "The best acting is found in the mid-Atlantic."
right, halfway between here and there.
And I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we assume that our actors have a strong emotional life and a connection to themselves, but we wish they had more love of they want to taste those words, you know.
Yeah. I mean, poetry.
Yeah.
Learning to, because I mean, also in our school system, we don't read out loud anymore.
No.
Kids growing up. I mean, somebody did an activity in my first year class, and it was all about cursive. They can't write cursive.
Oh my God.
That's true. They can't write cursive anymore. And it was like, I had to write, it was so difficult. But yeah, language, I think that's one thing.
Yeah.
That sort of
I know.
voice,
All right.
speech, language, but what Meisner does, the Meisner work, and the brilliance of Sandy Meisner in not going into the second year work until you have a live instrument, until you can tap in and come to life. The old alive is good, dead is bad, right? You tap in, and then you bring in all the complexity, and it all ends up feeling like a first year improvisation.
Yeah, even though it's more of a limited palette, like you're working in a frame, but you have so much freedom within that frame.
Yep.
You can push the limits of you can even move the frame a little bit. It's flexible.
You can.
It's plastic and flexible, you know. But if you bust out of it, then there's no form.
That's right.
And then, but even first year is not that. First year is form, but
There's
it's
form. Yeah.
you're, you know. But the notion being like, how the hell are you going to act on something you don't even know who you are yet? You're going to play a character, but you don't know who you are.
Right.
And you don't know what you're pulling from, and how you make those connections, and to start to build from the personal and the imagination. right? So you've got Stella and Sandy
Yeah.
with this, and then you've got, no, it's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's every now and then in class, I have to stop and say to them, to to Sandy, but also to Bill, yes,
Yeah.
because there's the scope and the sequence there's some brilliant. It's brilliant. It really is.
To those who came before, can you believe that they saw this and codified it? I'm like, I can't believe they saw that coming. Like, I know I'm just doing what came before. Like, I understand what came before, but they were the trailblazers. They
That's
kind
right.
of
They
they
were.
saw it in a way. I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah, and they were in process with formulating.
Yeah.
Let's try
Yes.
this. Let's try that. So
Yeah.
I think what you all are working on with your 1-1 company is that you're like, okay, let's expand this and see where this is going to go.
It
And
does
so
feel like
you're
that.
bringing experimentation to a fundamental knowledge, which
Yes.
I highly respect.
Yeah, it does feel like that. The 1-1, someday we'll have an episode on the 1-1 project that Carson and I are in with other people. Carson, do you have anything to ask Barbara or to throw in there before we
Well, I
let her
think
go?
we should briefly touch on the bicker you two have, the ageless bicker,
The why and the how?
the why and the how a little bit. I think
Well, so Kevin would say, well, Kevin, you say what you would say, and then I'll say what I would say.
Well, I got to defend myself. I think why is an extremely important question, but I think it's an uninteresting question. To me, the entire performance that the audience sees is the how. They see how you're doing what you're doing, but the who, what, where, why, when has to be invisible. Like, you answer those questions for crafting, but we don't see you knowing where you are, but we do see how you're doing what you're doing. So I will say to actors, from a director's point of view, bring me your ideas. How do you see this, or how are you going to do this? I'm going to play this monologue like a halftime locker room speech. Like, that's it's an idea for how to play a text. So then
And where the bickering happens is, I say, great, but you can't get to the how if you don't have the what and why.
Right. Absolutely.
So I'm coming as an acting teacher, and he's coming as a director, really,
Yeah.
because
But
we're in complete agreement. But I was,
course.
I'm being a little bit more
Yeah.
sequential in this, right? It's like,
And
I'm going to jump to maybe the how is first, but usually you got to work it out.
it can't be. The how cannot be first, because it'll
How
just
can't be
be,
first.
it'll be a tacked on idea. It
And
won't
you
be
know what?
coming from internally.
That's right. And it's turned into a thing because people like to see Kevin and I do this.
Yeah, they're like mom and pop to have to fight. Yeah. Are you two getting a divorce? Who will I live with?
But the how, but I've learned so much about the how, and especially when you bring in the Michael Chekhov work and all
yeah.
that. It's like, wow,
Oh, yeah.
so exciting.
Yeah.
So-
But
But the crafting, you spend a lot of time talking about crafting, first year crafting.
yeah.
Right? Crafting. It's got to be there. It's
Yeah,
got to be there.
And you really harp this, and I do it more because of you, that you can't step into the reality, the world of the play, unless you have a reason for being there. Why would you walk in somewhere and not want something from? So it's like, why are you there? What do you want?
Yes.
By the way, I realized that I was remiss when we talked about crafting, who, what, where, why, when, how. When we talked about what, we talked about circumstance, but I left out that what also means, what do you want?
Yep.
Kevin Kittle.
I know. I said that out loud to Barbara, right to her face. I said it. Yeah. Knowing I was going to get scolded. But can you believe that we were saying, what is the circumstance? Like, what happened before no, what is also like, well, what do you want from the other person?
Well,
what are you doing to get it? The actions and objective.
this is a very simple thing because of how I feel. Preparation. What do I want? Objective. And in order to get what I want, what am I doing? Action.
Yes.
And there's a lot more to it, but it's like,
yeah. But do you see, Barbara, that some acting techniques mix those things up? Like they'll say,
they do.
they'll call something an action, and you and I will go, that's not an action, that's an objective.
That's an objective. I know.
It's
So
too big.
Drama book sells books, and I'm like, don't buy those action books because most of them are objectives. But
Yeah.
then you
The verb is too big. You can't play it.
right. You can't play it. Can't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the test of an action. So
Yep.
when I did this, what was my action?
Yeah.
I
For
was
those of you who listen, for those of you,
playfully. I was playfully scolding him.
yeah.
Yeah.
For
That
those of you listening, right, not watching, Barbara did that universal sign where one finger goes on the other, shame on you, kind of thing. So she didn't even have to say anything. If she just did that, that's the to playfully shame, or to scold, and believe me, as a director, that shit is really, really important. Let me just say this before we wrap up: a director would rather have clarity of doing than emotion.
Mm.
Because emotion's a tricky thing, and some nights it will not be there. But action, you can play. It's repeatable.
That's right.
You can play your action clearly every night. I'm speaking for directors. We would rather have clarity of doing than depth of emotion. We want both,
Yeah, of course.
but you're a human being. We understand if one night the depth of the emotion is not there, but the storytelling is in the doing.
Yeah. Well, Gierges said that. He quoted Phil Hoffman saying,
That's right.
you know what your actions are, you know what you're doing. Your emotions may surprise you, and the story will get told.
That's right. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
That's right.
I don't know if you've said this before, but Meisner would say that the action is the barrel, the emotion is the water in the barrel. If you don't have a barrel, you just have water on the floor. If you don't have emotion, you have an empty barrel.
An empty barrel.
That's
Oh
great.
my God, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Good one to end on.
Good one.
Well, listen, Barbie, you and I could do a series. We could be like Bill Moyers and Joseph Campbell, a series of
Maybe we'll have to think about that for
yeah,
2027.
yeah.
Carson, it's so nice to be here with you.
Likewise. Thank you for doing this.
So my pleasure. I really respect what you're doing. I do. All right.
All right.
Love you.
Thank you.
Love you, love you, love you.
Love you. I love you. Bye.